But there's another RPG house who have made waves in the news.
Paizo, the publishers of Pathfinder, which is, for those of you who don't know it, Dungeons & Dragons 3rd edition continued onwards after Wizards of the Coast made substantial changes to the rules. Paizo likes to release adventure paths, which are sets of 6 adventures forming one coherent storyline, often with a theme. So, for example, they've had the adventure path where everybody is a pirate before, and you all do pirate things. Their latest one is about being members of the City Watch and fighting crime.
Oh no.
And in light of current events, Paizo have realised that is maybe not... Paizo have realised that that's maybe not the best theme to be having for their adventures.
Perhaps not.
Now, I can see how this is a problem.
You've written all this material already. It's all ready to go, yeah.
And cops are such a massive theme in our media.
Huge cultural cache.
We were talking about this before, and to me it ties into the whole concept of murder hoboism, actually. Bear with me here. Bear with me.
I'm bearing with you. Go on.
We find violence exciting. So many games and stories generally are about violence. But if you're going to tell stories about violence, who are we going to be telling these stories about? Are we going to tell about vigilantes? That's a problematic group. Sure. Are we going to tell stories about criminals?
Problematic again.
Or are we going to tell stories about people who, according to the law, are allowed to commit acts of violence on our behalf?
Yeah.
And that leads us to the army and the police.
Yes.
But of course, the fact that the police are allowed to commit acts of violence on our behalf, as we've seen recently, is an extremely problematic thing.
And it is something that, like all things in life, we should question. We shouldn't just assume because things have always been one way that they should always be that way. And that's what's happening right now in the world, and that's exciting.
And so, Paizo have issued a statement where they've acknowledged that they have a product. It's too far along now for them to cancel it. But they've acknowledged that they're releasing a product that is problematic in the present climate. And they are going to be releasing a free player's guide to accompany it, which will have options for playing with non-violent resolution to conflicts.
Cool.
So that you don't have to have your police murdering everybody in sight, which is, that's unpleasant. Or for removing the police from the adventure and having you be concerned citizens engaged in violent vigilante action against members of their community, which I don't really feel is that much of an improvement, honestly.
It really depends on context. I mean, because, in pre-police civilizations and pre-police communities, especially smaller communities, people would have had to do the vigilantism themselves.
Yes.
Get revenge on the raiders and stuff like that.
It's always been a problem, of course.
You know what? This is why I like role-playing games, though, because this gives people a chance to unpick these situations. And
explore what these situations mean.
This is why I like to do these things, and I will always try and find the answer where everyone lives. Oh, gosh, what a peace, Nick. What a
hippie.
Yeah, what a hippie. What a snowflake.
She plays a druid.
It's true, I do.
Druids are the best class.
Druids are the best. Druids are the Swiss Army knife of the role-playing game.
Anyway, I can understand how Paizo has made this mistake. For myself,
totally
I have an adventure that I wrote a year ago that I've been polishing up, in which the players are police.
So this brings me to I now that we've talked about 3 other major institutions and their responses to Black Lives Matter, which have all been positive ones in my view. What is Skybear Games' response? What are we doing?
Well, Skybear Games, of course, believes that Black lives do matter.
Yeah. And on a personal level, we have, not as a business, as personal people to people, we have donated money.
I have set up a display at the library that I work at.
Yeah.
And I'm proud that we have received complaints from people, and we've
Huzzah!
We've been able to share with them Just because we say that Black Lives Matter, we're not saying that other lives don't matter, just that Black lives are the ones that are currently in danger.
And your boss and your organisation backed you up on that, and that was wonderful. That was such a positive sign. I will get a little bit more into what I've done on the computer side of things, but I'll let James.
In any case, the adventure, which I'm hoping to include in a release that we do maybe later this year,
actually
is being revised so that it is no longer about the police force.
Instead,
in
it is
a
about
medieval fantasy setting.
Yeah.
Instead, it is about
private security guards. Which means that they have far less jurisdiction to do violence upon citizenry and, yes, other things like that. They can't just stroll up anywhere and act like they're the big bad guy. Makes the scenario a little bit harder for them, but that's interesting.
And it also, actually, since it's a murder investigation, it now means that the person who's murdered in it is murdered on your watch, you the player.
Yeah.
And so gives the players a stronger tie into what's going on.